Since childhood, we are taught that lying is moral corruption. Like something inside you is really wrong if you do it. And yeah, that is mostly true when you're trying to manipulate reality or people, but the same shouldn't be thought about whenever we're talking about ourselves. Because how do you lie about yourself when all you are trying to do, when all we're trying to do is just figure it out for ourselves? In fact, some of my greatest passions have started out as lies. Writing poetry, working out, and even this video. In the collection of golden rules prescribed by society, we have the unfortunate just be yourself. But how do we get to this point? Any instance of yourself is to be thought of with aspiration and acceptance, but the process of becoming such involves stealing, imitation, and exaggeration. You know, I've called myself a writer since I was a young teenager, and that's long before I had any right to do so. I technically did lie. Calling myself a writer when I didn't write as a writer should is to live a lie. But, there is a term for this: cognitive dissonance. So, that means there is a boiling pressure that exists within you that wants your words and actions to match. And with that being said, the drive inside me then pushed me to write more and more, and now I'm even more in love with it. What sounded like a lie to myself was something simply unrealized. The labels for our hobbies and personalities are not places you arrive at, but places you pass through. And what if you don't like the label you test drove? That's okay too. It happens, and no one is more of an imposter than anyone else for trying. Trying is more than what other people do. You tried. And guess what? It is still truth because it was a pure intentioned exploration of yourself. At the end of the day, identity never comes to us fully formed. Sometimes we pretend before we fully know what to become. When a house is being built, do we refrain from calling it a house until the final shingles are laid into the roof? Of course not. We call it a house because we know what it is about to become. It's going to be a house, so we call it a house. And at the end of the day, maybe this kind of lying is actually beautiful. It moves within the gray spaces where words are not fully true, but are not completely meaningless either. And that's all I have. Thank you.